Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. I do happen to be standing on a yoga mat. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. Find a place in your house that's carpeted, or maybe there's a rug that you can use. I just don't want you to be on something that's too slick or too hard. Also, a folded blanket is nice for a variety of reasons, and that can be as simple as the throw blanket from your couch, which, to be honest, is exactly what you're looking at here. Also, a thick beach towel might work. And for blocks, if you don't have yoga blocks, thick books are a great substitute. We are going to start in child's pose, which is a different look and feel for all of us. Some of us will think sinking hips towards heels, and a number of us are going to feel like that's not great news for our knees. So you can always walk it out and find a place where you can just sort of have a humble bow, and you could even take one of your thick books or blocks and place that underneath your forehead. Maybe you are fine with your hips sinking towards your heels. We're all different. And you could do the same with the block under your forehead, or even forehead on the ground. And then let's use this as a place to turn the arrows of attention inward and to find our breath. Our breath goes two different directions, and our minds are capable of going about 1,000,000 different directions. So let your inhale and exhale bring you to a place where you're less distracted and more landed. 3 silent moments here. And then come onto all fours. You might prefer to have your folded blanket underneath your knees here on all fours, and you're welcome to curl your toes under if that's helpful as well. Take your right arm up to the sky, and then swoop that underneath. Maybe you put one of those blocks underneath the right side of your head. You're coming onto your right shoulder, and you'll find a place where it hits the spot. You're shifted a bit forward, like our friends who weren't really so much sitting their hips into their heels in our child's pose. And we'll take a few moments here. Then bring yourself onto all fours, and we switch sides. Left arm up, left arm swoops underneath. You're aiming for your left shoulder. I like to come onto my right fingertips. You might put a block underneath the left side of your head to support. A couple moments where we are here. Now, slow motion, come up from this side. We're on all fours. Let's organize our hands for our down dog while we're here on all fours. So spreading your hands wide, it feels like all 10 of your fingers are reaching into the ground, and that the circles on both of your palms are doing the same. Now, we're not collapsed into our shoulders, which we will also not be doing when we do down dog. So press into your hands and let the ground come farther away. Now, even before we go to our down dog, lift your hips towards the sky. So it feels as though there's a hook in your tailbone, and then let that take you tailbone towards the sky. I like to step my feet about as wide as my mat when I do that. So I've got a little extra space for my down dog, and then exaggerate the lift of your hips and put a little bend in your knees so that you can really feel your hips go way far away from your hands that are spread wide. And then slow motion, walk your feet forward all the way to your hands. Inhale, bring your hands onto your shins, your ankles, maybe even your thighs. Exhale, fold in, but we're not folding and rounding. We're hinging at our hip to fold in. Then inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Stand in your mountain, palms face out, feet hip distance and parallel, and we pause. This is the foundational pose of almost all of our poses. So let's feel into it for a moment. And then inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Hands can come to your thighs, to your shins, or your ankles. Remember, very long spine. Inhale, uplift your spine. Exhale, hinge at your hips and fold. And then inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Float your arms along your side and stand in your mountain. We'll add down dog to that. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs or your shins or your ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart. Now bend your knees because we're heading to our friend down dog, but I want your palms to be flat on the ground. Then you'll step back. Probably a pretty wide stance with your legs. Feel the hook in your tailbone that we first discovered on our hands and knees, and grow your spine even longer. Then walk your feet forward, back to your hands. Inhale, hands to ankles, shins or thighs. Uplift your heart, and then exhale, hinge at your hips and fold in. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V. Stand in your mountain, palms face out. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and then hands to thighs or shins or ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart. Bend your knees, place your hands flat on the ground, step yourself into your down dog. And this time from down dog, shift it into plank, shoulders over wrists. It's a lot like our hands and knees, and you could have your knees down if you'd like to. Glide yourself, lifting with your hips, back into your down dog. And then walk your feet forward slowly all the way to your hands. Inhale, hands to ankles, shins, or thighs, uplifting your heart. And then exhale, fold yourself back in. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, V. Stand in your mountain, palms face out. We'll add a bit more. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and then hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Inhale, glide your hands up, uplift your heart, and then bend your knees deeply enough that your palms go flat. Step back and lift your sit bones high in down dog. Shift to plank, shoulders over wrists, and bring your knees to your mat. Firm through your belly, lower, elbows brush your ribs all the way onto your belly. And then bring your forearms parallel to those long edges of your mat. And feel like you're pulling your elbows towards you as you draw your chest through the gateway of your arms in a Sphinx pose. And you're not doing that with your chin. Your chin's parallel to the ground. And I'd like you to press into the tops of your feet until your kneecaps come off your mat. Lower down, curl your toes under, come through all fours. And then remember the hook in your tailbone as you lift yourself up and back and into down dog. If you want a wider stance with your feet, feel free to take it. Slow motion, walk your feet to your hands, and then inhale, hands to ankles, shins, or thighs, uplifting your heart, and exhale, fold back in. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V, and then stand in your mountain, palms face out. Let's do that part again. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart. As you fold and bend your knees, palms go flat as we step back to our down dog, prioritizing length through our spine. And then shift into plank, shoulders over your wrists, knees down, belly lifts, elbows brush your ribs as we lower. You can either keep your hands where they are as you uncurl your toes or bring your hands into that Sphinx pose. Cobra just means your hands stay put, but we lift our heart, not our chin, but our heart. Lower down, curl your toes under. Come through all fours and then lift your hips like there's a hook in your tailbone into down dog. Walk your feet forward, feet to your hands. Lift your heart, hands to ankles, shins or thighs. Exhale, fold back in. And then inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Stand in your mountain, palms face out. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to thighs or shins or ankles. Inhale, lift your heart, bend your knees deeply enough that your hands go flat onto the ground. And we step down into downward facing dog with a very nice lift to our tailbone. Lift your right leg back behind you and then step that right foot forward. And for many of us, it doesn't really go. You know what I mean? So you can help it along so that your right foot is forward. You might grab your two blocks off to the side and bring them on either side of your right foot. That can be a helpful tool for our next bit. Steer right hip back and left hip forward a little bit. And with a deep bend in your front knee, you're balanced on the ball of your back foot, and we still have that feeling of mountain pose in our spine. Now keep your left hand on your block and take your right arm up to the sky, thumb to the sky. But we still have a very long spine as we inhale, and then just a careful little exploration into twist as we exhale. 2 moments. We'll unwind and bring our hands to our blocks. Move the blocks out of the way so that we can come into down dog from here. So hands flat, step back, lift your hips high. Shift into a plank position, shoulders over wrists. Bring your knees to your mat and firm your belly. Lower, elbows brush your ribs all the way to the ground. Uncurl your toes and either make it cobra with your hands staying where they are or sphinx with your forearms down. Then lower down enough that you can curl your toes under, come through all fours, and head to downward facing dog. Once you're in down dog, lift your left leg back behind you. Step that left foot forward, give it any assist that it might want or need. You can bring your blocks into the mix, and we will steer now left hip back and right hip forward and feel a very long, tall spine. Deep bend in our front knee. Right hand stays on our block. Left thumb to the sky as our left arm reaches. Every inhale, we grow a little bit longer through our spine, and every exhale, just a little easy twist into our posture. 2 moments. We'll unwind our left hand onto our block. Move both blocks off our mat so we can find our down dog with our hips lifting high to the sky, and then shift into a plank, shoulders over wrists, knees down, belly firm. All the way down we go. Uncurl your toes for either cobra or into your sphinx, and then lower down so that you can come through all fours and into down dog, really prioritizing length through our spine. Walk your feet forward all the way to your hands, and then inhale, hands to ankles, shins or thighs, uplifting your heart. Exhale, hinge at your hips and fold. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V. Stand in your mountain, palms face out. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to thighs or shins or ankles. Inhale, slide your hands up to uplift your heart, and then bend your knees deeply and step into downward facing dog. Make sure you've got that long spine, and then lift your right leg back behind you. Step it through, help it along. This time, take your blocks on either side of your right foot. Turn your back foot flat. Heel toe your right foot over to the right. And without rounding your back, keep that length in your spine and move your right leg towards straight. That's going to be a process. It's going to take a little time. What I don't want is a locked out leg and a rounded spine. So find that sweet spot where you've got a hip hinge, a hinge at your hip, and a long spine, and maybe your right leg doesn't get straight. That's fine. Let's enjoy our stretch here for a few moments. Then we will add the twist to our stretch. Left hand remains on your book or block. Right thumb to the sky, and we twist. What I don't want is for us to swing our right hip out to the right. So just find a place. It may not be the deepest twist, that's fine. And think of spinning your inner upper arms away from each other so we're not collapsed and crumbled shoulders into ears. I'm going to give you a couple moments to be silent here. And then we'll unwind, hands to blocks, spin on your back toes and bend your front knee. Move your blocks off the sides of your mat, put your palms flat on the ground, step into your down dog. Remember, long spine is our priority, and then come to plank with your shoulders over your wrists. Bring your knees to your mat, firm through your belly. Lower all the way down onto your belly, and then either a cobra with your hands where they are, or a sphinx pose with your forearms parallel to the ground, and then come down and through all fours. And lift your hips for down dog. Now lift your left leg back behind you. Step that left foot forward. Help it along if that's needed. Turn your back foot flat. Bring your two blocks to frame your left leg. Heel toe that left foot over to the left a little bit. And remember, long spine here as well, hinging at your hip and moving your left leg towards straight, but we're not forcing it there. And we're especially not forcing it there if it's rounding our back. And then we take some silent, sweet, meditative moments to stretch. Add the twist. Right hand stays on your block. Left arm up to the sky, thumb to the sky. Think of spinning your inner upper arms away from each other, and let every inhale grow you long, every exhale be just a little exploration into your twist. Unwind and place your left hand on your block, bend your front knee and spin on your back toes. Move your blocks off the sides of your mat so you can put your hands flat and come into down dog. Walk your feet forward all the way to your hands. Inhale, hands to ankles, shins, or thighs, uplifting your heart. Exhale, fold back in. Then inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V, and we stand into our mountain. One last sun salutation sequence. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to thighs or shins or ankles. Inhale, uplift your heart, bend your knees deeply enough that your hands go flat onto your mat, and we step our way into down dog. Lift your right leg behind you and step that right foot forward. Remember our deal, you can help it along. Turn your back foot flat, and this time walk your right foot over to the left a few inches and take your right forearm across your thigh and your left arm up to the sky. Now we're not swinging our hip out, our right hip out behind us. We're hugging that right hip underneath us, and we'll stay for a few moments. Now ideally you've got your 2 blocks still where they were for our other twisting postures. This is still a twisting pose. We're twisting our right ribs towards the sky. 2 moments here. Reach for your block with your right hand, place it outside your right foot, and very slowly press into your right big toe mound and let that right leg begin to straighten. Now we had a conversation in another pose where I said it's not crumbling, and in this one you might even reach your right arm out in front of you to remind yourself it's not a side bend, it's a hinge at your hip and then an elongation of your spine. If your left arm is getting tired, just weave it behind your back or place the back of your left hand to the small of your back. Every inhale, grow long, and every exhale, just gentle twist skyward. 3 moments together here. Free your left arm up to the sky and bend your front knee. Spin on your back toes and place your hands flat on the ground for your down dog, lifting your hips high. Shift it to a plank, shoulders over wrists, firm through your belly, knees down, and then all the way down onto your belly. Uncurl your toes for either Sphinx or Cobra. And then lower down, curl your toes under. Through all fours we go and into our down dog. Left leg lifts behind us and steps through. You help it along. Turn your back foot flat. Let's heel toe our left foot over to the right as we bring our left forearm on our thigh and our right arm to the sky, thumb to the sky. We're not letting that left hip swing out behind us. We're hugging that left hip underneath us, and we'll stay a few moments here. Now find that block that's off to your left. Reach for it, place it outside your left foot, left hand on your block. Think slow motion, because we have a lot to explore here as you straighten that front leg. Now we're not letting that hip swing out. Remember, not a side bend. So I find it to be helpful to just come up a little bit, remind myself of that hinge at my left hip, and then return my hand to my block. And the other thing is, if that right arm is tired, just let it rest behind your back or weave behind your back. Let's take a few moments to take this pose in. To release, bend your front knee and spin on your back toes. Take your hands to your mat and your blocks off to the side so that you can step into your downward facing dog. Shift it to a plank, be firm in your belly, knees down, slowly lower all the way onto your belly. One more time into Cobra or Sphinx pose. Lower down, curl your toes under, come to all fours, and this time from all fours, we will sit down. So seated, and I'll face you so that it's easiest to see what I'm up to here. You will step your right foot over your left leg and keep this left leg active, curling those toes towards you. If it feels like you're rounding already, fold up your blanket and sit down on your blanket so that you can uplift before we twist. Also, sometimes one of these books or blocks is great underneath your right hand behind you. Left arm, thumb to the sky. Just give that right knee a hug. Feel like you're growing tall as you inhale, and that there's a little loving nudge into your twist as you exhale. Let's take a few moments here. Now, as you unwind, remember that this is the right leg was over. Just step it off and come to a cross-legged position with that right leg in front. Now, your cross-legged position might want to sit on that folded blanket. Also, instead of crossing at your ankles, see if you can convince your feet to step a little bit more underneath your knees. You'll feel it more in your glutes, a little bit more in what we like to call the hip opening. And then we're just going to sit here, palms up or down, in a stretch, but also a stretch of our attention in a meditation for 1 full minute. That was a minute. Let's twist first to our other side. So take your legs out in front of you. You can give them a little waggle if you want to. Step your left foot over. Maybe left hand on a block, but remember we sit tall, right thumb to the sky, and then you can simply give that left knee a hug. Every time you inhale, you grow tall, and every exhale, we are twisting a little bit more into our rotation. We'll take a few moments here. And then gently unwind. Step this left foot over, but remember that's the shin now that's going to go in front for our seated moment in meditation and stretch. Palms up or down. Feel free to sit on your folded blanket or cushion. 1 minute starting now. Here are your options. You can stay here seated in this meditation or gently lie down on the floor in your Shavasana final meditation. But we have another full minute or so here. Decide where you'd like to be. And I'll drop you into that surrender and silence. If you're lying down in your Shavasana final meditation, gently bring your knees into your chest, roll carefully to either side, and slowly come up and meet those of us who are seated in a cross-legged position. Let's together take a second to appreciate how we feel. That we have had the opportunity to turn inward in our yoga practice so that when we roll up our yoga mat, we can reach out. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I look forward to us doing